Hi, this is Terry from Fabric Junction, and today I have another of our 6.5-inch blocks that we have been posting on our blog site called Fabric Junction Jewels. You need to check it out. Our goal is to try to get 60 blocks on there to make a quilt. And the blocks that I'm creating for the quilt I've been doing in 2 colors, so I can have 2 blocks of each design in my quilt. And this is the block called Aunt Sukey's Choice. So lots of pieces and lots of little pieces to work with. Well, if we break it down, the whole section is quite simple. We have our square that we would put together and a couple of flying geese. So to create our square, we just need to put our 2 small ones together. Sew it from one side. Now when I get there, the only one thing I need to watch for, because I'm sure I set it up kind of odd, the longer pieces actually stay in a nice row. So when I put this together, let me see, I put them to the wrong way. Nothing. I want these to the outer row. I want this one to the outer corner. So I can see as I set this one up, I got my pieces turned around. And I'll tell you why that's important. Because now when I go to sew my other piece to the side, I want to make sure that it's the long one and this is to the outer corner. So that's what I want to watch for. I'm going to press to the dark side. And I'm sure if these get turned around, it's really not going to change the look of your quilt. But if you're going to do a whole bunch of the blocks, it's probably nice to have the longer pieces tracking all the same direction so that people like me, that my anal part of my personality will go, oh, okay, that looks right. Those are all going the right, what I would consider the right direction. But if they were all scattered, I wouldn't pay any attention. So, anyway, that was one of the things that I had to look for as I put this quilt together, as I put this block together, is to make sure that I ran all my pieces lengthwise. That's kind of the way the pattern lays it out. And unless I want to do something really different, I try to follow the pattern or the essence of the pattern. Now I need to make 2 flying geese. They're opposite colors. And normally I draw a line on my little square that I'm going to attach. In this case, my pieces are so small, I know I can eyeball it without making a big arch or missing. So I'm just going to send them through. My only thing is make sure I have the right sides together. And sometimes when I use a tone-on-tone, it takes me a double take to make sure I have the right ones together. And I'm going to go ahead and do my opposite one. There we go. Point to point. I'm going to separate them. There we go. Trim the other side off. Give them a nice little press to add the other side. Okay, this one goes here. Make sure that So with this particular one, we have several flying geese. So I would have gone through and done them all at the same time. Oh, doing my pressing a little bit backwards. It's okay. Doesn't hurt anything. Now they're ready to be pressed open. And then I need to line up the two. And on this one, I will put the one that I can see my X on will be on the top, because that's the one that I want to make sure that I don't cut the tip off or not take a big enough bite or too big of a bite. There we go. Yep, just about right on the money. Probably missed it by about a half a stitch, it looked like. But visually, it'll still look great because I didn't cut it off. So now we'll press one more time. Now I have all my blocks set, and like with most things, to me it's now a 9 patch. Make sure I got the right side of that. Look guys, so now I treat it just like I do when I sew my 9 patches. And like I've said on many of the videos, I start on my left side, I take my center, flip them over, sew them. I don't cut them apart. I open it up, I just add these and sew, and then come back and go the other direction. So now we have our 9 patch put together of our variety of designs. And this is a 6.5 block. Well, my potholders I like to have at around that 8 to 9 inches, so I needed to add a border. And on this particular one, because of the little red ones in the corner, I decided it'd be nice to go ahead and add the little cornerstones to my block. And it looks like that's exactly the way it was supposed to be. So I cut 1.5 by 6.5 for the sides, and I also cut 1.5 by 6.5 for the top and the bottom. So you'll cut 4 of them, 4 1.5 by 6.5, and then cut 4 1.5 inch squares for your corners. So once I have my sides on, then I line up and add my corners to create this interesting block for my potholder. After my block is together, I have my back, which is cut large, because there it goes, as you can see, and here's the size of my potholder. And they vary. It depends on some of the scrap and whatever I'm working with. So they'll vary anywhere from 9 to 10 inches to make sure that they're definitely bigger. Cut a piece of batting, and then I use Insulbrite. And Insulbrite's a nice insulated product engineered to help keep the heat away from your hand when you're using it. So 1 layer of Insulbrite. The Insulbrite by itself works just fine, or you can add the batting to it just to give it a little bit extra. Once you're done, it's time to bind. Then my bindings I cut, sometimes they're 2.5. This one happens to be a 2.5, because what I did on this one is I cut my strip selvage to selvage, and because the only place I used the blue was in the center, and that's a 2.5 inch square, I cut that off before. So this is my binding, but I already know that when I'm done, I'm going to have a piece normally left over about this long. So I cut 1 square off of this binding, 1 square off of this binding. So eliminated a bit of waste. But otherwise, normally, selvage to selvage. Go to our video on binding a potholder, and I'll show you exactly how I did it to create that nice little loop on the top. So with that, I hope you're enjoying our 6.5 inch blocks that we've been posting on our blog, and actually have been making the videos of, and just have fun with it. Create something interesting. Let us know what you do with it. And thank you for watching us here at Fabric Junction. Do check out our website, and like I said, do check out our blog. I try to post a few times a week. I'm not always right on the money, but pretty close. Thank you again for watching us.